You're in a great place now.
That's right.
In Columbia. So what do you think you could bring to the Gamecocks?
I tell you, the one thing I will notice here is just there's a lot of good people here. There's a lot of good people, and it's a great place. I think it's a great place for young people to come here and develop in the growing and being adults. But me in particular, I just want to come here and be a part of it. I really do. I think, like I said, just the staff and just the people that are here are extremely great, and I think that and I think that everybody's going to be committed to be, on one accord to be about these kids and to be about making South Carolina as good as it can be.
Now, Coach Muschamp in his introductory press conference said that he can recruit, and it's pretty obvious with the staff he's brought in.
Sure.
So, what can you say about this new staff? Are you impressed with this lineup?
I definitely am. I think everybody's attracted to each other, as much as they are to the goal that everybody knows is going to be brought here by the people that's here. Like I said, it's a lot more about this place that's here than it is about any individual, as coaches included. But I definitely think that that the people here is phenomenal. I'm excited about everybody that's going to be here. I think everybody were team guys, and I think that's going to trickle down to the players and so on and so forth.
You've worked with some big name backs, like Burley being one of them. What's kind of been your coaching philosophy, or what do you think's worked for you well with them?
The thing is the same thing that we're going to preach here in South Carolina. I think it's going to be hard work. I don't think there's any substitute for hard work. I think that there's only one way to become great, and that is by going all in, as they say in poker, going all in, not being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or sometimes be a little more committed at certain times than they are at other times, but just going in there and being committed both on and off the field to being great and to doing and to achieving those goals. And I think that's the attitude that we're going to have here. I mean, we're going to work hard, we're going to be all in. We're going to be all in both on and off the field.
Being a guy that went the free agency route to the NFL, do you think that helped you become relatable with the players because you're not a big flashy draft pick?
I'll say this, that going that route is a lot more relatable than it is the other route. They're getting drafted super high and everything like that. I do think that that's obtainable for people, but the thing that got me there wasn't my ability, so to speak. It was my understanding that it was going to take hard work, that I had to be completely dedicated into knowing what to do and how to do it. And that's my coach. That's how I think you become a good player. Is by just dedicating yourself in every way that you can to be as good as you want to be. And so, like I said, I don't think there's any mistakes. I think that overall that's the exact same way that we're going to be here. Is that we're going to come out there, we're going to work hard, and we're going to know what to do, and we're going to be the best that we can be every single day.
Now, your dad was a former SEC Player of the Year back in the 70s. You have a pretty impressive SEC resume. Has the conference kind of become home for you?
It definitely is a comfort zone, just knowing the different aspects of both football-wise and in recruiting. You're very familiar with the areas. You're very familiar with the states. You know a lot of the high school coaches, and you have relationships built up within this conference. It definitely is a comfort level there, but ultimately wherever we are, and wherever this coaching staff is going to be pretty the same, whether it's here or whether it's any other conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Coach. Hey, Coach, how you doing? Joe Gorsuch with WIS. Nice to meet you. In terms of the reasons coming here, you leave a good program where you're at. What are some of the opportunities you liked about working here in South Carolina to leave your alma mater?
The one thing about South Carolina is just its potential to be great. I think definitely that last staff got this program to new heights and raised the expectation levels of it. I definitely understand where we're at now, and it's going to take work, and it's going to take like I said, the thing that attracted me here was the potential to be great, and the people that's here. I think we have phenomenal people here, both on and off the field. I think it's one collective body that's going to be for these kids, and it's going to be to make sure that these guys are as good as they can be both on and off the field. And that's one of the things that attracted me the most about you.
Describe your personality. What should people expect when they come to work with you?
My personality is truly, I'm just one of the guys. I'll say this, how I was raised, and I think how a bunch of people around here are, is that every single day you're just going to try to leave this place you just try to leave this place better than it was before you got there. And that's going to be, and that's the goal here, is come here and be a better coach than I was the day before. For the players to come in and be better that day than they were the day before. And so, but just to come in and work hard and just be a team guy and make sure everybody's on the same page to do the exact same thing.
You, and along with some other coaches on their staff, have been recognized for being a really good recruiter. What goes in to making a guy who can recruit as well as you have in the past?
Recruiting's about hard work. It's about dedicating every day to it, dedicating a bunch of what you do on the job to it, and that starts from the head guy down. But I will say this. The thing that makes them that helps out a lot are the people. I think we have phenomenal people here. I think once you get a kid here to South Carolina, I think South Carolina really starts recruiting itself. Just with the people here, and with the resources here, and just with the potential that I think that everybody sees once they step on campus here. And so, I think that part of it is what makes our jobs a little bit better and a little bit easier to do that. Just know that a lot of being a good salesman or is having a good product that you're selling. And I think we have one of the best products in the country to do that. So I think when you look at that, I think that's kind of what does it more so than anything else.
You talk about the product offensively. I think a lot of people are wondering what type of product are we going to see with this team. From a scheme standpoint, what should people expect with the type of team you want to put on the field offensively?
I still think it's real early schematically. I definitely know this. The one product that you're going to see out there when it comes to South Carolina in general is going to be a hard-working team. We're going to be together. We're going to be on the same page, and then is a team that I think is going to be willing to compete from the very start of the game to the very end of the game, regardless of what the score is on the scoreboard. And I think as long as you do that, you got a chance to win. You got a chance to be successful. And so right now, that's going to be our goal.
Was it tough to leave Georgia to come here, or was it an easy decision?
It wasn't. I think, like I said, when you look at the people, when you look at everything that you have going on around here, I think that's the stuff that you have to take in consideration. Any of the big decision that you're making is the people that you're going to be around and the place that you're going to be in. And I think we're around great people. I think I'm at a great place, and so I'm excited.
Offensively, what type of players are you trying to recruit into this system?
Good players. Good players. Like I said, ultimately you want guys that's going to be team guys. It's going to be hard work in it. I hate to sound kind of redundant, but those kids are the kids that, quite frankly, are it's easy for those guys to be successful when you look at it. I think when you look at style of players, and when you look at players in general, great players have certain things in common, and a lot of it has nothing to do with ability. It's they're hard workers. They're very good fundamentally. They understand that the importance of every day, and it's the mental makeup more so than it is a lot of the other physical things. Obviously, ability's got to be there. But a kid that you're recruiting at this level, a kid that you're recruiting here in South Carolina or in the SEC in general, tend to have that ability question is not as much a factor as it is some of that other stuff, and that's where it's important to kind of find out and look into people and do your research on people and things like that.
Any hurdles so far in recruiting since you got here, or you found it to be relatively smooth considering your transition from Georgia?
It's been very smooth. It really has. Like I said, when you recruit in the SEC, you kind of have a bunch of relationships kind of already built. It's not very far removed exactly, from the areas that I've been operating out of. When I previously working and having to recruit. But it's been good. And like I said, when you talk about the people that's here, when you talk about everybody working hard, being on the same page, it makes it a little bit easier.
Brandon McClendon, what do you like about him?
I like how he's made up. Like I said, it's very, very early to put to put a label or to classify anybody that's here right now. The one thing that I will say is he's going to be put in with the group of, just like everybody else is going to have to come in and going to have to understand the importance of every day and work hard and leave it all out there every single day.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Hey, Bryan. I'm David Carabello from Charleston.
Okay.
Welcome. Have you and Kurt worked together before? I mean, how do you think this is?
I've known Kurt for a while. Obviously admired the job that he's done everywhere that he's been. He's a guy that has a very good track record. And a very good offensive mind. Understands the importance of relationships and people and things like that, which that's as important. It's still a people business, as much as people don't understand that. But I have known him for a while and admired him from everywhere that he's been before.
How do you expect a co-coordinator setup to work? Two of you will bring just different ideas to the table?
I think, when it comes to game planning, it's a collective effort in general. And so, everything, he's calling the plays and everything like that. But, when it comes to game planning and understanding how you're going to attack a team and things like that, it's a collective effort from the staff anyway. So, it's kind of, pulled from everybody's ideas, not just mine or not just Kurt, it's kind of everybody. You just try to come up with the best plan for South Carolina to be successful on Saturdays.
Do you have certain elements you like to lean on from an offensive perspective?
I think everybody kind of knows what they know, if that makes sense. You kind of know what you know what you're familiar with, you know what you're comfortable with, but ultimately you're going to do what gives you the best chance to win on Saturday. So if it's something that you're not as familiar with, but that kind of suits your team suits your team a little bit better, or suits your personnel a little bit better, or quite frankly, you're just a little bit better at doing this than you are doing that, then all that has to be taken into consideration. And so obviously, what you may do good may go good. Certain weeks that it go than it would other weeks, and so. But when you take all that into consideration, I think that's what you got to look at. But definitely, I think you have the people here that understand that. Definitely people that have a great football background and knows how to game plan and knows how to put together an offense, and quite frankly knows how to coach and motivate people. Bottom line is, when you want to be a good coach, you got to know how to motivate.
Yeah.
And so I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Talking to Coach Muschamp, it sounds like what system you guys are going to run offensively is going to maybe be tailored a little bit to the personnel here.
And I think every system that's known in college and known in football in general has to be, because you don't want to go, and if you don't have the personnel to do this, then quite frankly, it's not very smart to practice it. Just because you're not built for it. So it really is a waste of reps, a waste of time, and everything like that. So you want to make sure that you're spending your time and with something that is going to give these kids the best opportunity to be successful, and ultimately South Carolina the best opportunity to be successful on Saturday. So when you roll out there and play games. So I think every offense, defense, special teams, game plan, all that stuff is in that. You got to do that as well.
Brian, thank you for your time.
Absolutely, thank you, man.
Coach, you were getting a lot of questions in the last few weeks about how you were able to focus knowing that South Carolina was in the future. Kind of reversing that now. Going back, what are you taking from your past experiences at Georgia that you think will really help you here?
The one thing that I will say, you have to understand how important it is for everybody to be on the same page. So we're just doing a good job of making sure that I'm on the same page with everybody else, and working together. I think that was the thing that I thought helped out a lot in that situation. And always understanding, the common goal is to make sure that these kids, you're here for these kids, and the importance of everybody in that, in the structure, everybody here understanding that it's about these kids was the most important thing, and is the most important thing of what we do. We're here to make sure that these kids are successful both on and off the field. So if everybody's working together in that aspect, I think that's what ultimately helps. And so just making sure that's always the fact and that's always the focus, I think is huge.
Coach, what's the split between you and Coach Roper? What are y'all's roles as co-offensive coordinator?
Well, ultimately, like I said, kind of just like I was explaining, when it comes to responsibility, it may be a little, it may be as far as just like responsibility, as far as practice, organization, and things like that. But I mean, a lot of stuff we're going to be doing as an offensive staff anyway. So I mean, when you're game planning for a game, or when you're putting the offense in and everything like that, you pull from everybody in that room's experience anyway. And but ultimately, you want to do what's best, what's going to be best. It gives you the best chance to win.
Right.
So and a lot of it is just understanding the personnel that's in place, knowing exactly what we're going to be good at, what we need to make sure we work on in order to be good in this league. To be quite honest with you, and then just kind of going from there.
Right.
But as far as pulling together a game plan and everything like that, that's going to be an offensive staff task anyway.
Does he get to call the plays?
He's going to call the plays. He is. Yeah, Curtis.
Coach, is there any sort of sense of comfort in going from the interim head coach, where you're kind of overseeing everything, to now stepping back to kind of your zone of offense?
Well, ultimately, whatever job title I have, that's where it's going to get all my effort and energy. Right now I'm a part of a great staff, part of a great institution. And I think everybody's working together, collectively to obtain the exact same goals. And so I think, in answering that question, I definitely think, that regardless of what it is, that's my focus. And kind of it did shift a little bit, but it definitely, is all working together in the exact same way as everybody else.
What's your take on the quarterback situation? I know you've got Bryan McClendon coming in and Perry Orther as a returning starter.
My take is way too early to have a take, to be honest with you. I think, that position, along with everything else, is still a lot of evaluating to do. And I think when you start to look into it right now, I think it's you got to be careful. Just because it's hard to pinpoint exactly who's where at any position on this team. So it's still early, and we definitely have a lot of evaluating to do, not just at that position, but every position.
Can you talk about how this all came together? I mean, like, when did you first become aware, I might be on my way to Columbia next year?
It all came together really, just throughout the whole process. The one thing that Will did, was, he allowed me to be able to work within the times that I had to work, when I was in Georgia. And so, but just through talks and everything else, what I kind of tried to do is try to push everything kind of back a little bit to where we had that break where I could really concentrate on me. And just because to try to do both and do the interim and all that other stuff, it was a lot. It was a lot going on at one time. And so, when we had that break after all the practices up there on the site, that's when I kind of had a little time to kind of do a little looking and do a little focus and everything like that. But I knew working with these guys was something that I kind of wanted to do from the very beginning. And once the staff and everything else came together, it really did make it an easy decision.
When you look at the roster, how many kids are you like, oh geez, I know that guy, I've been in that guy's house. How many of those fit that category?
Well, it's a bunch of them, and when you look at a roster that you play against year in and year out, you're very familiar with the personnel that's there anyway. So just as far as the familiarity of who a guy is and everything else, obviously I was a little more familiar with the defensive guys being an offensive coach. That was here, but just when it comes to recruiting circles and everything else, man, you are pretty familiar with the school that's so close.
Was there any kid on the roster here that was like the one that got away for you? Were you like,
It was a few of them. It was a few of them, but you got to look more into kind of recruiting areas then at that time. But the bottom line is there are good players here, and there's still a lot of players that still, and everybody's still going to kind of get evaluated and kind of see where they lie in what we do. And so, but ultimately, I do think I'm looking forward to kind of working with everybody here, and then just going from there.
As somebody who coached against this team last year, what did you see? What were you seeing when you looked across the field?
It's kind of tough because every game that we've had, that both playing against South Carolina and coaching against South Carolina, they were going to be, they were going to be tough games no matter what. And so, I'm very excited about being on this end of it, and then I'm very excited about working with, the thing that you saw, man, was guys that were going to be tough. They played hard, guys that were excited about playing the game of football. And so, that's what I'm excited about being. I mean, we're going to be a hard-working team, a team that's going to work hard on being right fundamentally, and a team that's going to work. A team that's just going to compete from the very start to the very end. And so, and that was one thing that I saw. That's one thing that I'm excited about being a part of.
Was going to Miami with Mark an option?
It was at one time. It was at one time.
How many other things were you juggling in terms of?
In terms of opportunities,
your job, yeah.
Yes, it was a few.
What made the difference here? What put this one over
The thing that I loved about South Carolina and about this staff was the people. I was looking forward to working together with this group of men, and not so much, but both the men that are here, both on and off the field, and I think we got a great staff, and then just the potential to do well here. I think that last staff, squad has kept is taking this program to another level. It really has. He had a Hall of Fame coach this here. That's still going to kind of be around. So just to be a part of all that is really what excited me. It was really what excited me. Obviously, to be able to compete in the league that you're going to compete in. I still think this is the best league in the world for football. And so to kind of get in there and be able to compete in this league and this potential that's here and this group of men is what excited me. And so that's why I'm here. So that's what I'm excited about.
How much have you and Will and Kurt talked about how the co-coordinator stuff will work?
True. We talked about it a good bit. I think, with those guys, and obviously those guys being veterans in college football and coaching and everything like that, knowing them and, both being in it on both sides, those guys understand and know that it's a collective effort anyway. So when you're coming up with game plans, when you're coming up with practice plans, when you're coming up with, get specific, when it comes to even personnel, I mean, it's a discussion. Ultimately, Coach Muschamp is the one that makes final personnel decisions, things like that. But it's a group, it's a collective effort anyway. So Kurt's gonna call it, but it's not just mine, his ideas. It's everybody in that room's ideas. It's a product that South Carolina is putting out there, more so than Kurt Roper's offense, or anything like that. It's not even Coach Muschamp's defense; it's South Carolina's defense. And so that's the thing that I think those guys understand. I know those guys understand just being in the business part of it and knowing how it works. But so more so than any type of title, it's a collective effort anyway.
What was Mark Richt's biggest influence on the way you coach?
Just understanding the importance of why you do what you do. You're in it to help these kids and change these kids' lives and make sure that these kids ultimately, when they leave you, that they're ready for the world. They're ready to be men and husbands and fathers and things like that. And to know that these kids are a lot more important than just what they do on Saturday. So many of these kids, especially in college football nowadays and how it gets covered, I think, a lot of them think coming in thinking that their value is how well they do on the field. And you have to let them understand that, while that is important, that's a big reason why you're here, but there's a lot more to you than just that, because that's when you get kids that leave and done with playing football, and then, that's why it's such a big depression rate and everything like that once people are done playing football, because that's where that's what those guys think their value is. And so just understanding that it's a human being involved, in this even in this business part of this is what's important.
When you look around the country, it seems like wide receivers as freshmen make an impact a good bit, oftentimes. It hadn't really happened so much around here. How important is it for you to have guys make an impact early in their career if you've got that ability?
I think it's looked at more than it should be, to be honest with you. Ultimately, you're going to put the kid out there that gives you the best chance to win the game. So if that's a freshman, if that's a senior, then that's who it's going to be. You say that, but you look at the last 4 Heisman Trophy winners, and 2 of them redshirt. Now, they weren't wide receivers, but so I think that kind of gets looked at a little bit more than it should be. But ultimately, you're going to play the guy that gives you the best chance to win the game out there on Saturday. And so I think that's the fairest way to be. Guys are going to get what they earn, and if they come out there and if they earn the playing time, if they earn the opportunities, then that's who's going to get it. So whether it's early or whether it's late in the guy's career, that's when that'll happen.
When you look at what's returning from last year's roster, a scary proposition for you when you don't see many catches, many yards, many touchdowns.
Well, it's still potential, but like I said, I still think it's very, very early to kind of put a lot of stock in kind of where people ended up at last season. I mean, ultimately, just like Coach Spurrier always says, I mean, you are what your record says you are. So right now that's where we are, and so we understand that there's still a lot of work to be done. But my thing is just guys are going to kind of take the bull by the horn, and we're just going to kind of go from there, and then just kind of work our way into being better than we were. And I think as long as that's the focus, then ultimately I do think we will get better.
What's when you're recruiting a wide receiver, what are some of the most important things you look for? One or two of the most important things?
I think not just in the wide receiver position. I kind of said this, so guys that's been here, you got to forgive me. But I think when you recruit a person in general, you want to. The thing that makes people great is obviously ability's got to be there. But the thing that great players have in common are stuff that has nothing to do with ability. The guys that like to compete, the guys that love the game of football, they're tough, they like hard work. So those are the things that I think that you look at more so than anything else. Are guys that come out and then they're built a certain way, or that they can be developed to think that certain way. And so, those are things that I think that you look at more so than anything at any position. And I think that's ultimately what South Carolina is going to be known for. Is that we're going to go out there, we're going to try to compete we're going to compete from the very beginning to the very end of the game, regardless of the score. We're going to be hard working and we're going to be tough. We're going to be physical at every position, and then we're going to go out there and we're going to compete and we're going to fight you until the end of the game. And I think as long as you do that, you got a chance to be successful, not just at receiver, but at any position.
Coach, I'm just curious, how tough a decision was this for you to decide to move over to South Carolina?
It wasn't too tough. It wasn't tough. I think the thing that made this decision easy was the people. I think there's phenomenal people here. I think it's a phenomenal place. I think this institution has the potential to be great. I really do think it does. I mean, you look back at the last staff; they did a great job of taking this institution to a new level. It really did, and I think you can build on that. And I think you have things that are getting in place here that's going to make that happen. And I think so. I mean, that's ultimately what helped me make my decision to come here.
How much did you come in feeling a little bit better, considering how you were able to stay down there and lead Georgia to a win in the bowl game?
I was very thankful and very glad to have that opportunity to do that. I think that time helped highlight exactly why we do what we do in this profession, and understanding it's about the players, and understanding that those guys deserve and they deserve your very best, and they deserve you kind of being your focal point of why you do what you do every single day when you wake up. And so I think that I'm very grateful for. But ultimately, I think you have the exact same thing here. You have, Coach Tanner, I think, understands the importance of why we do what we do. He understands, the importance of why these kids here deserve the absolute best, and he's working like mad to get those guys that. And I think, not just him, but it starts from the top and it gets trickled down to this coaching staff all the way down to the players, knowing that that we're fully committed to giving these kids the best.
Have you had a chance at all to scope out the wide receivers? Obviously, I guess Farrell Cooper was probably the top guy. He's gone now, but what do you think about what's here?
I think that there's, like I said, it's potential to be great. you know, we definitely gonna work like crazy in recruiting here. I think recruiting is gonna be the backbone of kind of any program in college. But we're definitely. I think there's ability here, and then you got to make sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure that those kids are successful on Saturday. So the biggest thing is it's very early. Very, very early as far as the evaluation process of what's here. I'll know more after I get a chance to work with them, after I get a chance, because it is tough to kind of look at that, because you don't know what all was being taught and what was being said, or, you know, even expectation levels and everything. I mean, all that stuff is kind of different, so you don't know until you get the chance to kind of work with those kids. So it's very early to kind of pinpoint things as far as who's here, as far as where guys stand and everything, as far as all that goes.
And I guess Coach Mustamp's put together what looks like a young, aggressive staff, and I guess talking to T-Rob, he said he's glad he's recruiting with you instead of against you. Now, what do you think this staff is going to be like from a recruiting standpoint?
Recruiting's about work. Recruiting about work, and it's about relationships. I think you got phenomenal guys that's going to work and that have good relationships with people. You know, regardless of, you know, kind of what's been understood. This is still a people business. You got it, and it's built on relationships. It's built on people that you can trust and people that can kind of get you information that you can trust. So I think you got people in place that can utilize that part of this business, and that's what I'm excited about as well.
On that note, is it a bad thing to kind of be labeled? Muschamp talked about this being to kind of be, because then people go, well, you can't coach, all you can do is recruit. Is that kind of actually a bad thing at times?
I think, I think, the bottom line is this job. You know, you coach ball and you recruit. You know, and recruiting is a big part of it. So, 9 times out of 10, if you're a good recruiter, you're pretty good at your job. So I mean, it's tough to be looked at and be labeled as one or another, to be honest with you, because just with one label comes one thing, with the other label comes another, but you work like crazy in both aspects of it, because that's what your job description lies in, and then you just kind of go from there.
Your track record's well known as a recruiter. After asking that question, I bring that up. But I've had people say, well, it's tougher to recruit to South Carolina than it is to Georgia. Your thoughts on when people say something like that?
I think, like I said, recruiting is a lot about relationships, and recruiting is about definitely understanding the importance of getting people on campus, and it's a bunch of different aspects when it comes to that. So I think, if you understand exactly where you're at, and you do a good job of cultivating those relationships, I think you'll be fine anywhere that you go.
What do you look for in a receiver? Do you like to have a mix? When you go out, what's the first thing you're really looking for, whether it's film or watching in person?
Sure. I think the one thing that you look at, not just in a receiver, but in a player period, is what makes up great players is obviously you got to have ability, but the thing that I think separates players into good players, great players, and everything like that are the intangibles. Is he a hard worker? Is he, is fundamentals important to him? Is banging out and understanding, and understanding that the importance of every day important to the guy? Is he good character? That's the stuff that ultimately, that I think we look at, period. Not just at receiver, but just in general. It's just understanding, okay, the intangibles part of it. So if the intangibles are there, and then, it's hard to find a guy that doesn't have any ability that you're recruiting in the SEC, to be honest with you. If the intangibles are there, then I think you got a great shot of that kid being effective and being good enough to help you win on Saturday. And so that's the thing that I think we look at more so than anything else.
Prior to the last couple of weeks, what was your relationship with Will Muschamp? Kind of, obviously, you had an offer to go to Miami, and you've been around Mark Richt, and you played for him. What was your relationship like with Will Muschamp?
It was good. I mean, I've known coaches for a while. My father was a coach at the University of Georgia when Will played. So, I mean, Will's kind of had a chance to kind of see me come up a little bit. And so I've known him for a while, and I mean, just done a good job of just staying in touch. Staying in touch. I've always admired the job that he's done, admired the person that he is, and how he treats people, and how he conducts himself, and how he's been a pro in this profession for a very long time. For a very, very long time. I mean, for a guy to kind of go the route that he's come up and kind of been as successful as he's been is not very common. And so, just having admired the job that he's done, like I said, for forever. And obviously, when you couple that, have an opportunity to come and chance to work with him and learn from him, because ultimately, you get a chance to learn from a guy that's like that as well. So that's what excited me, and not just him, but just the people that we have here in South Carolina. I think you can learn tremendously from too.
What do you think was the biggest thing you took away from being a head coach? It was a month. The biggest change from being a receivers coach, recruit guy, to running the whole operation.
Sure. Just the importance of everybody being on the same page. You have to do a great job of communicating throughout everybody that's there, and understanding why you do what you do. I think last week was a great. That month that I was there was a great example of why you do what you do, and that you're there for those kids. Those kids deserve all the attention and all your commitment, because that's why you're there. And so, I thought those kids, deserved the opportunity to go to a bowl and do well there. So that's where my time and energy went. So I think that's what it really highlighted to me.
Who's more excited to get to the bowl victory, you or I read the article on your 8-year-old son, you or him?
Well, probably him. There's no doubt about it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, how's it going, man? Kyle, good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you. I know you've probably been asked all this before. I apologize.
Okay.
Just your reaction when Coach Muschamp came up to you. What stood out about South Carolina?
The thing that stood out was, one, I get a chance to work with the people that's here. I think we have great people here in South Carolina. And then not so much that, but just the potential to do great. I think the last staff did a great job of taking this institution to a whole different level. And I just saw the potential that's here, to couple that with the great people that's here, because it still is a people business. Then I thought had huge potential here for great things. So that's ultimately what attracted me to come here.
And obviously you played at Georgia, coached at Georgia, and South Carolina, played them every year.
Sure.
What do you remember about South Carolina?
South Carolina, obviously, that game I think is special. Just because the one thing that you always knew in South Carolina, is that it was going to be a physical game. Guys like competing, guys like playing the game of football, and that's what excites me really. Regardless of whatever situation it's in, no matter what, the product that we're going to put out there on the field is that we're going to go out there, we're going to compete from the very beginning of the game to the end, and then we're going to compete and we're going to fight until all game long, and then no matter what, we're going to be physical, we're going to play hard. We're going to play hard. So as long as you do those things, I think it gives you a chance to win. And that's something that I think that you get with a lot of institutions, quite frankly, here in the SEC. But and then another chance to stay around here and play against in what I think is the greatest conference. Winning the greatest conference to play football is I think is very exciting.
You're known as an elite recruiter. What's the most important thing about recruiting? What's your message to recruits to come here?
My message is it's about the people. It's about the people. The same thing that attracted me to come here is you got people that's no matter what it's going to be for the kids. And so I think that's where the focus is. No matter what, man, those kids' priorities, those kids' well-being are going to be put first. They're going to be put before anything else that we do here. So when it comes to making decisions and everything like that, you want people that's going to be there for you. And so that's ultimately why I chose to come to South Carolina. And so I think that's going to be great, and I think that's ultimately what it's about when it comes to college football.
Obviously, you'll be coaching wide receivers. What are some of the biggest things that are most important to you that you instill in your receivers?
No matter what, it's hard work. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna work hard at fundamentals, and we're gonna be team first guys. I think that's why the game of football was created. To be honest with you, in my opinion, was for young men to understand that it's about other people more so than it is about them. For young men to understand why it's important to be mentally and physically tough, and for young men to understand why it's important to work hard. I think that's why my son's playing football for those things right there, just so he understands that about life. And so no matter what, that's the biggest thing that I want to make sure that we instill in guys here, and that's one thing that no matter what, not just me, but it starts from the top down. Coach Muschamp, that's important to everybody here.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? Wes Mitchell, South Carolina Rivals.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. Was there anything in particular you feel like you learned from that experience at Georgia, being the interim guy and kind of all the, I guess you had coaches leaving, coaches coming, just strange situation to be in, I'm sure.
She can probably answer because she's heard it a few.
We just get it from her?
No, I'm just playing. But the one thing that there's a couple things that stuck out to me the most. One was how important it was for everybody to be on the same page. You know, everybody has to be tied in. Everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to be preaching the exact same thing. And the number two thing that I think it really showed up is that how important it is that you are there for the right reason, which is the kids. You know, those kids are why you do what you do. You understanding that, you know, you wake up and come to work for those guys' well-being, putting those guys first. Every decision that you make is you know, the right decision for those guys more so than anything else. Then if you do that, then that's what I think is fine. Because I think those guys, they put so much in, and you spend so much time with them, you understand why. You understand why it's important that those guys are put first. And so as long as those kids are the focus, then I think it makes all the other stuff a little bit easier.
How different at all is the recruiting mindset right now, knowing you've got like 3 weeks to go, at least live period, to go sign a class versus having the whole year?
Well, it's definitely different. You know, it's definitely different. I mean, because no matter what it still is a relationship business. So you got to understand the importance of building people. Building relationships and understanding that, hey man, you got to do a great job of making sure this kid understands, like I said, that he can trust you and he can understand exactly, no matter what, that you're going to be here from him. No, you know, regardless of what may go on, you know, here in the school. So that's the biggest thing. It's just understanding that you're pulling on relationships and that you gotta, like you said, build a class in 3 weeks. And so, you know, the only way you can do that is for people to trust you, and you do a great job of evaluating and understanding, you know, why kids are in it too.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Absolutely, man. Thanks,
Coach.
Ben, good to meet you.
You actually came up kind of steeped in that Mark Richt's Georgia pro-style offense. What kind of influence do you think that has on you and the way that you coach offense, or does it not really have?
Not really. I think it, regardless, even in every offense or defense or even the special teams, I think you have to do what gives you the best chance to win. You know, best chance to be successful. So no matter what, you know, the thing that allowed, you know, that offense to kind of work was, you had the personnel in place to do it. You're not gonna put an offense in that you, quite frankly, don't have the personnel to do until you have that personnel to do it. So, you know, regardless I think you have to understand exactly the personnel that you have here on campus, what you're going to be good at, what you're not going to be good at, and what's going to give you the best chance to win on Saturdays. And once you put all that stuff together, then that's when you come up with, okay, this is where we're going. And so, but regardless of that, you know, I think certain things got to be instilled, and no matter what offense that you're running or defense that you're running, and I think it's going to be important to us as a staff, because it's really early when we start talking about that. It really is too early to kind of know exactly where you're at as far as personnel-wise goes, because it is tough to look back and say, okay, well, this is what you got when you really don't know what people's being told. You don't know what people being taught. You don't know the expectations that he's had. It's just a lot of unknowns there. So you really don't know until you get a chance to put your hands on it yourself. And so, you know, my thing is, you know, the thing that's going to be important to us right now, which is going to be blanket across the staff, is, you know, we're going to compete from start to finish. We're going to work hard. We're going to be physical. Okay, and then we're going to work hard at fundamentals. And so, you know, once I think, because regardless of whatever offensive system you have in place, if you're good at that, then you got a chance to be successful on Saturday. So that's the thing that I think that we're all working together trying to do right now.
Is some of that sort of philosophy, instead of recruiting to a system that you might want to install, you're saying we're going to recruit talent, and talent will dictate the system?
Sure. Well, I think you got to recruit talent, period. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, you go out there and you try to, you got to get the best players in that you can get, you know, because, you know, ultimately, those are the guys that are out there on Saturday. It's not you as a coach. You know, regardless of what people may think, 80,000 people aren't going to come to Williams-Brice Stadium to watch me coach. They're going to watch those guys play. So the biggest thing is just make sure that you are here and making sure that you're doing everything that the kids, whoever it is, whoever you get, that those guys are as successful as they can be on Saturdays.
And you coached against South Carolina last year. What did your receivers do best when they played that Gamecocks defense?
It was more of the same that I'm hating to have to repeat. Just understand that. I mean, we played hard. I thought we were okay. I thought we were pretty good fundamentally. You got to throw and catch well. If you don't throw and catch, because you're gonna face tight coverage here in this conference. Regardless of whatever school you're at. And so, I think those are the things that you got to work on, kind of regardless of wherever you are. But like I said, as long as you're approaching the game the right way every single time, I think you're doing good. Thank you.
Bryan, as far as recruiting goes, what's sort of the secret to your success? You're regarded as one of the best recruiters in the country. We probably don't think about that, but obviously it makes good things for us to write about. What are you saying to kids, or what's maybe your standard philosophy to do it so well?
I'll say this, the thing that recruiting is it's a lot of hard work, and it's about relationships. You got to have good relationships, kind of not just with the kids, but with the people around them and with people in that community. Just the whole thing is about relationships. And so and not so much that, but the people that's here when they get here. It's about these guys feeling that no matter what that here we're going to have the best those kids' best interest at heart, kind of regardless of wherever that goes. But so it's about relationships and it's about hard work. To be quite honest with you, so I hate to be tabbed as one of those top dudes, just because that gives you something to write about when somebody doesn't come here that I'm recruiting. But the bottom line is you're not gonna get everybody you recruit. You're not. And so the thing is you just want to make sure that the people that you do get here, that you're doing everything you can when they get here to make sure those guys are successful both on and off the field.
Why do you think it's important that every coach has a territory in this state?
I think it's important. It's important. You have to do a great job in the state, man. You got to. It's important. You can never overlook the importance of having the relationships here. Just because South Carolina kids are going to understand the South Carolina Clemson game, how important it is. They're going to understand the South Carolina Tennessee, South Carolina Georgia game. It's about that state pride when it comes to it. And so I think ultimately, are you going to have to leave the state of South Carolina to sign kids? Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. But you want to make sure that you do a great job of evaluating and getting guys here in the state here at the University of South Carolina.
Any specific challenges to this transition class?
Outside of it, like I said, you got to do a great job of just establishing relationships here, and so which isn't terribly difficult. Just kind of knowing where I'm coming from, and those territories intertwine so much. But it's a little bit different. So that's the biggest thing of just understanding and establishing relationships here at the place of man.
You still anticipate improving Florida pretty heavily?
I think there are certain areas, absolutely, certain areas, but there. But the biggest thing, like I said, South Carolina, and the states that I think that touch South Carolina, I think you got to do